Welcome back to Ace Attorney Anime Review. This is episode number 13. This is where I'm reviewing the 35th episode of the Ace Attorney anime, which is Northbound Turnabout Express Second Trial. Yeah, this one kind of picks up where the last episode left off, and man, there is some anti-American stuff in this episode. Like, the way they portray the United States in this particular episode is really inaccurate to how we do things here. But I'll get to that soon. Yeah, so starts off whenever kind of having discussion about what happened. They actually kind of explain the whole thing of why they're there in the first is why this particular rich guy, who Richard Avers, why he was framed, why he was charged with the murder of this particular CEO of this corporation who wanted land and wanted money from this fictitious country that doesn't exist in real life. And this apparently is supposed to be 21st century. And I'm like, okay. Now, the way they did this, I'm like, man, is your only evidence, like the only evidence, okay, this guy got shot in the chest. Apparently from the way the distance on this map, it looks like about 20, 30 yards away. Shot from other side of this big room. I've been in rooms this size before, and I've been in a room this size through the various chamber conference events I've been to. But I've never been to a room where it has like 3 different entrances, like 2 on the sides where the stage is and 1 that goes directly into the thing. I've seen 2, but never 3. This is a bit unusual. So the guy gets arrested on site. It's a good thing they had security there. That was the cops are because that's fine because it's a high level event. Okay, so apparently they arrested him due to the fact he had a gun on him. Somehow. They don't explain this episode how the heck the gun even got there. It's like, oh, this gun is freshly fired, and it has his fingerprints, and it was registered to him. Okay, but is that your only evidence? Well, yeah, he has a motive, yeah. But you're missing one particular thing. Now, I'm not sure who the heck wrote this episode. Yeah, the writer of this episode apparently forgot to have the people who did the arrest checking for GSR. Those who know what GSR is, it's gunshot residue. Yeah, I've heard about this in crime fiction, but this is real. It's basically gun residue on his hands. I mean, yeah, he's wearing gloves. You can still check him. But in this thing, nope. They didn't bother to check it at all. Now, yeah, he has a smoking gun. It's like, man, the people who wrote this episode apparently did not know how to do a proper investigation. Like write a fictitious version of investigation properly. Because the gun is the only piece of evidence they actually had, and a motive. I'm like, that's it? You didn't check his clothes, see if it had like gunshot stuff on it, or his hands? Nothing? Nope. Oh, and by the way, he's wearing the same exact outfit that he wore when he went to the event. Okay. I would have thought, though, that he would have been put into an orange jumpsuit. Yes, that is a known procedure for people when they get arrested and they go to prison. Well, and of course, being an execution, they wore an orange jumpsuit with a white t-shirt and probably like white boxers. How do I know this? I watch crime dramas. That's how I know this. And plus, I have seen on TV actual prisoners wearing orange jumpsuits. And since his trial was held in the United States, now I get maybe why he probably wears actually to the trial. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. But for transport, now I get why they probably put him in his clothes because it probably would look presentable. But at no point did they ever show him wearing an orange jumpsuit. Okay. Yeah, it's particularly very weird. Yeah, and apparently he had a whole year to plan all this. Yeah, so so Dick Gumshoe apparently noticing the whole switch card disappearing, though it's not revealed in the next episode how the heck this was accomplished. And apparently got shot off screen. Okay, as far as I can tell, you could have shown that. It's like, oh, he got shot in the arm somehow by this smoking hot redhead, and she bandages him up, and they apparently become fast friends. Did he just forget Maggie, a woman he's in love with? Did he forget her and drop her for this smoking hot redhead? I don't know, maybe become fast friends. I have no idea. It was a favor. Yeah, only a favor to a woman who frickin' shot you in the arm, gumshoe. Yeah, so he contacts us, but not contact Japanese police. Does this woman not realize that this guy is a frickin' detective? Apparently this woman's so stupid. She doesn't even notice that. I mean, the characters know he's a detective, but apparently this woman's so stupid and realize, oh, he's a frickin' detective. Did you miss the fact he wears a tie and a trench coat? Or did you not bother to check his frickin' pocket? Yes. It's like the writers of this episode wrote this particular arc to have a lot of the characters be really stupid. Yes, really stupid. I mean, the big highlight of this whole entire thing is Phoenix Wright, and the fact, okay, Dick Gumshoe contacts out to the world. Who does he contact? Why, Miles Edgeworth. Why not? He's probably the only prosecutor he knows he probably can trust. And yeah, he actually works for the U.S. Prosecutor Office. Okay, fine. Now this was, from what I looked up online, this was established in video games, so this is perfectly fine. So, he decides to investigate the trial, looking over the case notes. And apparently notes manipulations in the prosecution and reductions in the testimony. Yeah, he knows that all of a sudden 4 guys in suits with sunglasses show up completely out of nowhere just because of investigating this one case. Man, it probably sniffs of the fact this committee might be actually on the take. Did the people who in Japan, now I get this is a dub, but did the people who write this show think that all American lawyers are corrupt? I've met lawyers. I know lawyers personally. They're not corrupt at all. This is complete stupid. This is their stereotype of American lawyers. Yeah, so he's brought before this prosecuting committee, which I wouldn't be surprised if something like this exists in real life. But why the heck would the chief of this prosecuting committee wear stars like he's a general in the U.S. Army? Last time I checked, lawyers do not wear stars on their lapels. I am not really sure of why in the world that they had this chief prosecutor. Now, I'm sure this is probably a stand-in for the Supreme Court, or at least the U.S. attorney system. Yeah, it's probably a stand-in for that because they probably don't want to villainize the U.S. Justice Department, which there are occasions, from what I've heard, where cases can be very tainted. Do they think that all American cases are tainted and a lot of innocent people put in prison? It's like the writer of this episode really did not know how the American justice system even works, or didn't even bother to even watch an episode of Law and Order. Yeah, so because Miles Edgeworth pointed out contradictions, this committee basically is saying, how dare you? How dare you question us? Really? They haven't specified for you. And apparently this thing is broadcasting to them somehow. Apparently Miles Edgeworth didn't know anything about this. Yeah, and by the way, the technology of the show is the fact ever uses flip phones for some reason. Even though this was made just a few years ago. Actually, the first season, I think, came out just last year, I think it was. I'm looking it up here. Yeah, the first season came out roughly it came out back in 2016, and the second season started about 2 years later. So, yeah, as for why in the world they're using flip phones in this show, no idea why, but I'm sure that people who are citizens of Japan actually use smartphones. Heck, I own a smartphone. Yeah, this is something that's really bizarre, and apparently these phones can also accept emails. Okay, last time I checked, flip phones don't really accept emails. Not that I can think of. The one thing, they take up a lot of data on flip phones. I mean, what's wrong with having this thing set in present day? It's like this thing is set in the early 2000s. Now, I looked up online when this whole era of the show is supposed to take place. Like, now the franchise, it's supposed to take place in the future, like in the year, like in the 2020s or 2030s. That's generally when the show is taking place. But the way the show looks, it looks like by the level of technology seen in the show, somewhat anyways. I mean, it looks like it's present technology, but the phone technology is from the early 2000s. The flip phones. No idea why. Yeah. So, oh yeah, and there's also a murder happens on a train. Like, okay, we have a murder happen on a train. I mean, yeah, this is nothing unusual for fiction to happen, where violence happens on a train. Almost every form of fiction I've seen generally has violence happen on a train. A lot of, like, I would say about 80% of the shows I have watched, both live action and cartoon, or at least anime related, 80% of them actually have violence happening on the train. So this is nothing unusual. Yeah, a murder. Yeah, nothing unusual there. What is unusual is a fire starting on a train. That is unusual. That is actually first. I can't think of any other show that actually have fire on a train. It's a good thing Maya actually bothered to go get a fire extinguisher to put this thing out. Yeah, and apparently the prosecutor. I get the fact he's trying to preserve the crime scene. Fine, whatever. Okay, then how the heck this body disappear? Heck, even they question like how the heck this body disappear? Yeah, the door that came from. That's the only way to get in. Now, also, now as far as I've heard for train windows, there are some that actually do open, but not all of them. Yeah, I've been on several trains, so I kind of know this. Though I officially have traveled on a train aside from a subway, like once. Well, there's one train I have traveled aside from. I've traveled a few different trains, mostly like subways or just trains between cities. This is up in New York. Yeah. But in the case of this, I've never been on a train like this where it has where it has a dining car. I've never traveled on the type of train before. Because whenever I travel, if we're going out of state, I go by plane, or I go by car, not by train. The only time I took a train a long distance when I went from Oneonta to, actually it was not Oneonta, it was from Macedon to, I think was Edmiston. Yes, I believe it was Edmiston or Binghamton. It was around that area, around the middle of New York State. That's where I've traveled on a train. And from what I can tell by looking at this particular show, they do a really good job of how an actual train actually looks. I got to praise the anime for that. But man, the major weakness of this episode is the writing and the depiction of the U.S. justice system. Yeah, this is a complete joke and not an accurate representation of the U.S. justice system. Also, they do mention here the U.S. justice system in this show uses trial by jury. That technically is true. The U.S. justice system does use trial by jury, but we also do bench trials, not just trial by jury. From what I've heard, from what I know about, because I personally have served on a jury, that it's up to the judge's discretion if this can move to a trial by jury. It's up to his decision. It's not like every single trial can be a trial by jury. It's up to the judge's decision for that particular thing. Now, how do I know all about this stuff? I watch Law and Order, and I've met lawyers in the past. Heck, I know 2 sitting judges. Yes, I know 2 sitting judges in my area. Yep. One of whom actually served on my local city council. Yeah, so I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Aside from some of the stupid stuff that happens in this episode, I would say the biggest highlight of the thing is Phoenix. Phoenix Wright. Him and Maya are the highlight. These two along with Dick Gumshoe are the highlight of the episode. Heck, I even love the fact that Miles Edgeworth is not going to be so stupid. That's one thing I love about this character. He's ready to be smart, intelligent, and apparently anybody who's not these four characters. Well, the judge is not written to be that stupid. He's kind of stupid, not all that stupid. Seems like almost half the other characters, like the lawyer, the Tristan Turnbull, the prosecutor, who was part of the U.S. Prosecuting Committee. Okay, fine. And apparently he has a database of all the important cases. Okay, that is perfectly fine. I have no problem with this at all. Okay, now I get the fact he probably stores all these things on his laptop. Perfectly fine. I do have a slight problem with the technology used on his freaking glasses. They look like Google glasses. He has this thing attached to his glasses that apparently has access to the World Wide Web of this massive database he has. Okay, where the heck did he get this thing? Because last time I checked, this technology does not exist in real life. Not that I know of anyways. I know laptops exist, because I'm using one right now. But in the case of something like what this guy is using, now I've seen glasses that have like things attached to their glasses, but not technology. This is completely fabricated for the show, just like the way it was in the last trial, where they had a radio that put on someone's face like it was a scouter from Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. Last time I checked, this is fictitious technology and does not exist in real life. Yeah, give it what you will. Though there are toy versions of scouters, but there's no actual tech related to scouters or whatever tech this lawyer is using. And there's something very suspicious. Now, the way this lawyer's acting in this show, man, this is very stereotypical of how lawyers from Perry Mason, like prosecutors from the Perry Mason show, would act. Yeah, it's like they took cliff notes of U.S. prosecutors and Perry Mason. Possibly, anyways, when it comes to American attorneys. Yeah, but I'm looking forward next to the episode when this thing finally concludes. And I'll point out how much of some of the bullcrap they pull in this particular arc. Yeah, also, the episode ended with the car that Gumshoe was in, where a body just magically drops outside of his room via the ceiling. How the heck it got there? No idea. This episode doesn't explain it at all. Yeah, and I have to point out though this. Dick Gumshoe is an officer of the law, and he, in the 35 episodes this show has been on the air, he has never once ever shown having a gun. Excuse me. You see his badge, no gun. Do the writers of the show think he's like Columbo? I'm sure Columbo probably carried a gun. I mean, matter of fact, I know one show actually references Columbo many times. It's called JoJo's Bizarre Adventures because one of the characters actually bases his detective skills on Columbo himself. But I'm sure the guy probably did carry a gun at some point. But the Gumshoe? Yeah, there's that. Yeah. Though there's a bit of a Die Hard in here, which is kind of weird. I mean, Die Hard on a train. I guess those are the writers are going for it, despite the fact there's a trial on board. Yeah. I mean, despite my ranting and raving, this is an okay episode. And I'm definitely looking forward to next episode where they finally unveil who is behind all this nonsense. Yes, I am looking forward to it. One thing I also got praised of in the animation is the dub acting. It's really good in this episode. Yes. It's just that I don't know if this is the fault of Funimation for writing the U.S. prosecutors to being such arrogant buffoons. Yeah, I think this is probably them translating whatever the heck that these guys were saying in Japanese. Yeah. That's just my personal guess anyways when it comes to that. I even like the fact that Tristan Turnbull has a small past with Miles Edgeworth. That's a highlight of this episode. That's one of the major highlights of this thing. Yeah. But, like I said, the stupidity, a lot of the stuff they do this episode is there. Yes. Oh, in case you went the whole thing with GSR before I close, that is, as far as I can tell, from a lot of crime dramas I've watched, that is something all crime scenes are investigated for. Heck, even a murder is always tested for that. And apparently this show did not know about this particular concept at all, despite the fact this exists in real life, and also it exists in live-action crime dramas. Yes, seriously. So give it what you will. Yeah. Some people who watch this episode probably like, man, you rant a lot about about how the law is supposed to work, even though you're not an attorney. Yeah, I'm not an attorney, but I do look up this stuff and I know what this stuff is because I watch CSI and Law and Order. That's how I know these things. And from what I can tell, despite the fact the CSI stuff tends to be very exaggerated, but a lot of techniques they use are real, from what I've heard from the real life documentaries I've seen. Yep. So that's it for this particular review. Stay tuned for whenever I get a chance to finish the book 10. I'm almost on book 10 for Overlord, so expect to review that soon. Okay? Back to this next review. Bye.